Hello there, Craig Bailey from Zen Solar. In this video, I'm going to answer the question that we often get from solar dealers, which is duplicate content an issue for my solar dealer website? In particular, will Google penalize me for having duplicate content? And as you can imagine, this could be a concern because I'm sure on your solar website, you will have some content that is copied from other sites. And this would particularly be the case when you've got product information, probably got product specs, solar panels, inverters. You've probably got warranty information. You might have service and other information that you provide to your visitors. And often it'll be very similar or perhaps even copied from vendor sites. So it's very common, and the question is it a problem? Well, I'm going to set your mind at rest and say there is no such thing as a Google duplicate content penalty if your intent is to give a good user experience. Instead, Google just filters your content. I'm going to show you examples. I'm going to give you proof right at the end of an example beyond a shadow of a doubt where you'll see duplicate content is not an issue. I'm going to actually point you to resources where Google themselves say it's not a problem. So let's get into it. My name's Craig Bailey, and I run an agency called Zen Solar, and we help solar dealers with their digital marketing. All right, first of all, let's see what experts in the industry say about duplicate content. This is Search Engine Land. It's one of the most reputable search engine SEO-based sites, very high credibility, and this is a blog post from 2016 where they try to dispel a myth of the duplicate content penalty, and they rightly note there's so many myths around this, but really, and they're going to try and kill it off, there is not a penalty, and they refer back to this blog post from Google themselves. This is in 2008, where Google themselves try to demystify this duplicate content penalty, and they say, let's put this to bed for once. There's no such thing as a duplicate content penalty. And what they go on to say is that actually there can be instances where people try to deliberately or mischievously manipulate Google. They look out for those instances. There's also cases where people just scrape websites completely without adding value. They just blatantly copy hundreds of pages word for word. They don't add anything to it. That kind of thing they don't like. But when you've actually got your own website and you're providing content, the fact that it's got duplicate content from another site is actually not a problem. They have a website, and I'll put all these links below this video if you want to read them, go into the details, where they talk about what duplicate content is and when you shouldn't be worried about it. This is from Moz, another well-respected industry site in terms of search engine optimization, digital marketing. And they say, while not technically a penalty, duplicate content can sometimes impact search engine rankings. So this isn't about being penalized, it's actually about filtering. I'm going to talk about that in a second. And this is Hobo SEO in the UK. Funny name, but an incredibly smart guy that runs this, Sean Anderson, and he updates this. Quite an extensive article goes on, and you're very welcome to read that, where he says duplicate content is treated differently by Google, with the difference being the intent. And so we're going to look at that in a second. And really, the thing that I want you to take away so far is that duplicate content penalty is not a thing. Don't worry about it. So what should you do? Well, the thing you should do is focus on the user experience for a visitor. I'm going to talk about that in a second, but you need to be providing answers, product information, credibility indicators, warranties, service offerings, where you're located, how you help, the services you provide, case studies of things you've done, testimonials, all these kinds of pieces. You can imagine you would have some content that's copied from vendor sites, perhaps verbatim. You might have warranty information that's copied verbatim onto your site, but as long as you have other content that is providing value around your services, what makes you different in the market, how you've helped clients in the past, it's not going to be a problem. So here's an example of where you would potentially have a problem with duplicate content if your site was all copied from another site, like you just blatantly copied another site. That's probably not going to end up well for you. And you had no new content, you provided no value to a visitor, and it was a bad user experience. that's something you should avoid. But really what we're saying, if I were to summarize this, is you need to focus on the user experience. Now, let me give you an example. And I'm going to give you an example that's probably very similar to solar dealers. I'm going to talk about car dealers. Now I've typed in Hyundai here. Here's the search results. Hyundai, of course, comes up first. But scroll down a bit. Here you get this map. You'll get a whole bunch of locations. These are all the different Hyundai dealers. And look, I'll just start opening some of these in new tabs. And you'll get a sense of all the dealers. So these are Hyundai dealers. Let's open these up. Alto, Hyundai. Just give it a second while these load. So these are all car dealers. And one of the things I want you to notice is that a lot of the content is almost identical between the sites. So for example, models. Here's all the models. You could dive into any of these, get the same models. Go here, there's a completely new site, different site. Oh, yep, exactly the same content. Some of them will have slightly different ways of showing that, but it's all the same content. If you drill into the cars, same, it could go on. New vehicles, here's another layout, but all the same cars. They'll also have finance, they'll normally have service, parts, accessory. All of these will be almost identical or duplicate across the different sites. Why am I showing you this? Because it's not a problem. Google looks at this and says, well, okay, it's identical content, but for a visitor to these sites, it's actually providing them with the information they want. So then the question becomes, well, how does Google handle it? What they actually do is that Google, none of them are penalized here, but what they do is they promote the most appropriate dealer for the person searching. So you can imagine if you're searching, if you're probably based on location, will be a key factor in the results Google gives you. Perhaps the device, maybe some of the sites work better on mobile and desktop, and on mobile device that might impact which version or which site Google recommends to. Perhaps prior history. If you've gone to one of these sites before, it's more likely Google will show you that site. Again, as you probably know, that Google has hundreds of factors that it looks at in order to personalize the results for you. So I think that's pretty compelling example and proof that duplicate content is not an issue as long as the intent on those sites is to provide value for the visitors. So here's the action items. Focus on user experience and providing useful information on your site. It's fine to have duplicate content on your site when that content helps the user experience and gives them value. For example, product information. This is solar panels, inverters, different parts, all those kind of things. Warranty, service details, associations, awards, throw a typo there, accreditations. And as long as it complements your own content and helps the visitor have a better user experience, it's going to be fine. I hope that's helpful. If you've got any questions, drop us a line. Details are here. If you've got a question, you can send me an email directly. Thanks for watching, and best of luck with your digital marketing efforts.